Hello and welcome to Bed Talks. You know what is funny? Looking back now, everything is very clear. And at the time, absolutely nothing was clear. Back then, it was Dubai dust, heat, stress, work, cycling in the desert, hormones, weather, oh my gosh, Mercury retrograde probably. Everything except the one thing it actually was. Apparently, I was very creative. It started very quietly. Some pimples on my neck and a forehead, breaks in the cycle, fatigue that didn't quite match the workload, but nothing dramatic. And that's the trick with perimenopause. It doesn't come with a sign saying, "Hello, I have arrived." It comes disguised as very reasonable explanations. And when you are a responsible adult woman, you explain everything. You don't panic, you rationalize. And that is exactly why so many smart, informed women miss it. Not because we don't have access to information, but because we have too many other explanations that make sense. And here is the part I find fascinating. Even when we are educated, even when we read, even when we check hormones, even when we go to doctors, we still manage to lie to ourselves. Not because we are stupid, but because accepting perimenopause means accepting something irreversible. And the human brain does not like irreversible things. So instead of saying my system is changing, we say, I'm just tired, I'm just stressed, I just need vacation, I need to push harder, I need a new supplement. Because somehow pushing harder feels safer than changing direction. And this is where things get very interesting. I didn't collapse, I didn't break, I didn't suddenly become someone else. I entered this strange phase where I was high intensity, high productivity, high performance, and completely drained. Which is very dangerous combination, by the way. Because when you are still functioning, you don't stop, you don't listen, you don't adjust, you simply continue until your body forces the conversation. And no, this is not menopause being dramatic. This is you running new software on an old hardware and wondering why the system is overheating. And here is something we don't say enough. Perimenopause doesn't destroy you. Fighting yourself in a changed system does. The body changed, the rules changed, the recovery changed, the tolerance changed, but I was still living by old expectations. And instead of adapting, I started blaming myself, people, circumstances. Not because I was weak, but because I didn't yet understand what system I was operating in. The clarity moment didn't come with the fireworks. Woo-hoo! It came quietly. Another hormone test, another look at numbers, another reading. And suddenly all the dots connected. Not something is wrong with me, but this is the system now. And that moment is not tragedy, it is orientation. Because once you know what system you are in, you can stop fighting and start working with it. And here is something I realized that goes far beyond perimenopause. This is not only about the body. This is how everything in life works. At work, in relationships, in leadership, in sports, in anything you manage. You can't manage what you don't understand. And trying to control something you don't understand only makes it more chaotic. But the moment you understand the framework, how the system actually works, everything becomes easier to manage. Not because it becomes perfect, but because it becomes predictable. And that's the key difference. Holding something tight doesn't give you control. Understanding it does. And this is true for your hormones, your nervous system, your team, your project, your relationships, your own emotions. Once you understand the framework, you stop forcing and start navigating. And navigating always beats forcing. And this is the most important part of this talk. This is not about fear, not about decline, not about losing anything. It is about timing. If you recognize the change earlier, you don't need to collapse to adapt. You can adjust sleep, adjust training, adjust expectations, adjust nutrition, adjust boundaries. Not when you are broken, but when you are still strong. This is not weakness. That is intelligence. And I want to be very clear here. Not every woman will experience the same thing. Some will barely feel it. Some will struggle tremendously. There is no universal script. But there is one universal pattern. The longer we deny what is changing, the more aggressive the change becomes. Not because it's cruel, but because it is not being heard. And here is where I will return to something very simple. You can lie to everyone in your life. But the most impressive lies are the ones we tell ourselves. And perimenopause is very good at exposing that. Not to punish us, but to bring us back to ourselves, to our body, to our limits, to our reality. Not as an enemy, but as a partner. So this is not a story of complaint. This is a story of literacy. Learning the language of your own body. Because once you understand it, you stop being afraid of it. You stop fighting it. You stop dramatizing it. You simply cooperate. And that is where freedom begins. Not in controlling everything, but in understanding what you are working with. Not in denying change, but in navigating it with clarity. Because perimenopause didn't take anything away from me. It gave me something much more valuable. Orientation. And from that, everything else becomes possible.